and I could, because we were so different, it could get a little bit combative. You can bring out the best in each other. But after we realized we weren't.
Melania Trump was there before Ivana and Marla Maples, right? For reasons you'll never guess, Donald Trump and Marla Maples, a former beauty queen, divorced. Because it was such a controversial and intriguing marriage, the details surrounding Trump's union with Marla continue to astound us whenever we consider Marla. When they broke up, we heard some wild rumors. 20 years later, Marla confirmed what many of us suspected all along. But how did things really work out between them? Why did their marriage only endure for 6 years? If you want to find out, keep watching. The news that Trump began dating Marla Maples while still married to his first wife Ivana may come as a surprise to you. Marla is a Georgia-born actress, model, and television personality, with whom Trump began a very tumultuous affair in the late 1980s. The fact that the couple's connection was public and extensively documented, in addition to Trump's married status, only served to inflame the situation. Given the scandalous nature, why was it carried out in public? After more than 4 years of dating, Trump ultimately filed for a divorce from Ivana in 1990 after the couple had reconciled after a split. Back in 1990, when Trump was still married to Ivana, the New York Post printed an unexpected headline. The title said that Marla revealed to her pals that her sexual encounters with Trump were the most joyful times of her life. Even though other significant events were happening at the same time, such as Nelson Mandela's release from prison and Drexel Burnham Lambert's bankruptcy, this nonetheless managed to send shockwaves through the media and take over the front pages of New York City tabloids for weeks. That wasn't the worst, surprising though it was. It was stunning enough when Ivana and Marla Maples first met in December 1989. It seems that Trump had plotted behind Marla's back for their Aspen, Colorado ski holiday when he and his family were away. The encounter between Marla and Ivana came to pass in such way. In her book Raising Trump, Ivana describes the infamous day in Aspen, where a young blonde lady unexpectedly approached her and introduced herself as Marla, expressing her love for her husband. Is it true? In my voice I said, "Depart. What a remarkable partner I have." I couldn't believe it, even if it wasn't very ladylike. Attempt to imagine what it was like for Ivana to be in that embarrassing situation and attempt to empathize with her. It was after seeing Marla that she was certain her marriage to Trump had been annulled. 2 months after their encounter in February 1990, Trump followed through on her promise and officially divorced Ivana. After Ivana departed, it would be reasonable to think that Trump and Marla would live happily ever after, but it turned out that way. Even though they were married shortly after, they chose to separate and divorced 2 years later. For what use then? Marla has just spilt the beans on the horrific details. Marla Maples and Donald Trump were wed in December 1993, 3 years following Trump's divorce from Ivana. Over 1,000 guests, including notable personalities and influential entrepreneurs, celebrated during a lavish event hosted by Trump at the Plaza Hotel in New York City. But from the very beginning, it seemed like the marriage was doomed to collapse. Though Marla claimed that external factors were to blame for the breakup of their relationship, evidence suggests that Trump and Marla were both involved. Many were surprised to hear of Trump and Marla's upcoming wedding after his tumultuous divorce from Ivana and the huge settlement that followed. As reported by the Chicago Tribune, Ivana was reportedly prevented from utilizing her office at the Plaza Hotel during the divorce proceedings by Trump, leading to a legal battle on the enforceability of their 4 prenuptial agreements. Do not forget that the world became aware of this divorce due to the drama between Trump, Ivana, and Marla. News articles about the proceedings appeared on the front pages of New York newspapers for 11 consecutive days, and gossip columnist Liz Smith wrote about it for 3 months. In December 1990, the divorce was finalized, but with a condition. Ivana was ordered to sign a non-disclosure agreement and was told to wait for Trump's consent before discussing their divorce publicly as part of the settlement. Besides the $14 million, Ivana also got a 45-room mansion in Connecticut, an apartment in Trump Plaza, and yearly access to Trump's luxurious resort Mar-a-Lago. When Trump chose to settle down with Marla, he took measures to make sure there wouldn't be the same kind of turmoil. Marla was required to sign a very strict prenuptial agreement before he could marry her. Subsequently, published claims state that Trump supposedly promised Marla $1 million in the case of a divorce within 5 years, with an additional $1 million to be applied towards the down payment on a house. Even while it sounds like a lot, it pales in comparison to the over $25 million in assets and cash that Ivana received. Vanity Fair was informed by Marla a few months after their wedding at the Plaza Hotel that she may have been pressured into signing the contract. She had previously referred to the prenup as the big battle all along, and said that her and Trump had only agreed to it with the intention of discussing it again at a later date. The media started to wonder if their marriage was doomed from the start, as this became public knowledge. What should she do now that a prominent divorce attorney had already stated in an interview with People magazine? There is no greater form of coercion than a pregnant woman being told, "I will not marry you unless you sign." Upon receiving a laundry ticket from him, she would most likely sign it. Given that, it's reasonable to question the validity of any marriage, isn't it? His worry that Marla was interested in him just because of his fortune was evident to Trump. This transaction tore the very foundation of their marriage. But that wasn't all the information that was revealed in the prenup. It went on to say that Trump would have to pay child support to Tiffany until she became 21, or until she got a job, joined the military, or became a Peace Corps volunteer. Did you know that the birth of Tiffany had a significant impact on Trump's decision to marry Marla? Tiffany and Trump were married not long after Tiffany was born. Trump proposed soon after her birth. Marla claims that after the Long Island Railroad incident on December 7, 1993, Trump took stock of his life and the things that truly mattered to him, and that's when he made his proposal. Though it may seem lovely, Tiffany's birth was actually quite the opposite. Upon receiving the news that Marla was anticipating, Trump's initial reaction was to ask, "Excuse me, what happened?" Looking back on his reaction, Trump stated, "I'm glad it happened," while appearing on Howard Stern's program. "A delightful little child, Tiffany, is mine." "Excuse me, what happened?" was my first thought at the time. Unbeknownst to me, this exists. "So, how are we going to address this?" I inquired thereafter. His unenthusiastic response to the statement, "It's the most beautiful day of our lives," was, "Oh, great." This clearly did not reassure Marla, and demonstrated that Trump was probably not seriously considering marriage or having children at that time. Marla stated in hindsight that the fundamental reason her marriage to Trump was doomed was due to the fact that they were merely two persons with divergent views. Keep in mind that Marla and Trump were 17 years apart in age and came from quite different backgrounds. Trump was born into a prominent and ambitious family in Queens, New York, and spent his formative years there. Trump benefited from an upbringing that emphasized economic acumen, competition, and success, thanks to his father, Fred, a successful real estate developer. Because of his upbringing, he was driven to achieve greatness and relentlessly sought wealth and power. In contrast, Marla grew up in the little village of Cohutta in rural Georgia, where her family was modest and devout. In stark contrast to Trump's transactional and materialistic mindset, her childhood was guided by faith, generosity, and community. They valued various things since they hailed from different places. It became quite clear that our lives were totally separate. Relationships, honesty, and personal development were important to me, while Donald was more concerned with money, politics, and power. I came from a very different background than Donald, according to Marla. I was seeking a soulmate who would accept me as I am and emotionally support me. On the other hand, Donald often allowed his empire, reputation, and ambitions overwhelm him. Before Trump dealt with the responsibilities of marriage and parenthood with Ivana, he did his best to take care of his children, but his career always took precedence. This left Marla feeling lonely and irritated. After years of these difficulties, they decided it was best to part ways. Marla came to the realization after many years of being married that her husband wasn't really bringing out her best. The divorce papers were filed in 1999 following Marla and Trump's 1997 separation. In an interview, Marla described their dynamic as follows. "It could get a little combative, as you might imagine, because I came in with strong family values and a sense of spiritual growth. I always wanted to be the best I could be, while he came with his positive ability to see the world, make money, and get out there." Marla admitted that she wanted to soften her boyfriend after the divorce, which is a common desire among 20-something women. She said that Trump's vulnerability was his most attractive quality when asked about his strengths. When asked about their chemistry, she said it was electric, as if they had known each other all along. The chemistry was electric, but they broke up because Marla believed she could change him despite the clear signs that they had fundamentally different beliefs and personalities. But there were more factors than the price discrepancy. Reportedly, a very controversial occurrence happened soon before they broke up, and it influenced their decision. The fires were further fueled by a number of scandals and rumors, the most talked about of which was the accusation that Marla was seen having an intimate encounter with one of Trump's bodyguards at Trump's private Florida resort, Mar-a-Lago, in 1996. Supposedly, this is what happened. 4 o'clock in the morning, when the beach was deserted, an on-duty police officer allegedly found Marla and another man beneath a lifeguard post. The police report from April 16, 1996, lists Spencer Wagner as a bodyguard. At first, Wagner told the officer that he was on the beach alone, but then a woman emerged from the shadows and identified herself as Marla Maples, spouse of Trump. Unsurprisingly, Marla was deeply humiliated by the story's public disclosure, which was covered extensively by the media, made headlines in newspapers, and became a TV trend. Both Trump and Marla have consistently denied the accusations. Marla claimed it was all in her head, that the police officer had confused her for someone else, and that she was merely using the beach lavatory. Wagner initially claimed it was all an accident, and he denied ever having a romantic relationship with Marla. Next, in a shocking turn of events, 4 months later, Trump fired Wagner. Many began to doubt his innocence and the reasons for the firing. In response, Wagner shocked everyone by changing his story. "Our passion boiled over, and we made love," he told a tabloid, adding that he and Marla were actually making out on the beach when they were arrested. In later discussions, Mary Miller, Wagner's ex-wife, stated that he denied ever cheating on Marla. According to Miller, Wagner told her that their close relationship was due to Marla's uncontrollable behavior. Miller continued by saying that Wagner had brought up the fact that Marla was often aggressive in her attempts to drag him into a bedroom at the residence. Miller went on to say that Marla often visited the Florida mansion to indulge in her wild partying tendencies. As his ex-wife pointed out, Wagner was devastated by the constant bad press and lack of job opportunities. He also claimed to be unemployed after Trump's firing. Tragically, Wagner overdosed and died on January 1, 2012 because, as Miller put it, he's simply not that kind of guy. No, he isn't a lousy person. This is why he was never able to fully shake off the incident. The following year, Trump and Marla officially separated, and 2 years later, they finalized their divorce. Despite her denials, the press allegedly infuriated Trump, straining their marriage and exacerbating their trust issues. Several factors contributed to the worsening of these problems. One of them is that Trump began seeing Marla while he was still married to Ivana, casting long shadows of betrayal. The constant rumors about Trump's extramarital affairs, fueled by his infamous Playboy persona and his numerous social excursions with other women, wore down both parties. During the time that Marla's marriage ended, she focused on raising their daughter Tiffany. Marla was active in several fields, such as acting, television hosting, and health and spirituality promotion. Marla has always spoken highly of her role as a mother, and she often cites her bond with Tiffany as the most important thing in her life. Meanwhile, Trump continued to build his brand and economic empire. Barron was born to him and Melania Gnaus, a Slovenian model whom he married in 2005. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please subscribe to our channel and click the video that appears next. The public eye, misunderstandings, and adultery accusations clearly played a role in the dissolution of Marla and Trump's marriage.